Some public service unions are calling, or are in fact on the verge of a national strike amid a dispute with government over a proposed wage increase. However, teachers union SATU, we're hearing, is willing to accept a 3% offer made by government. Let's talk about this with Claud Naiker. He's with the Public Servants Association. Claud, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome back to Daytime Update. So, are you or are you not going to go on strike?
Well, a very good afternoon to you. It looks like we're on the verge of a strike action simply because the offer on the table has been rejected by the majority of our members. And in terms of the Labour Relations Act, picketing rules will have to establish before we go on strike action. Once that picketing rules has been agreed upon, which is scheduled for the 11th of October, then we'll have to give notice for strike action. If there's no changes in the current wage agreement that's currently on the table.
And am I right to say at latest the figures are 6.5% from what you're demanding and 3% from what the employer is offering?
Well, I think what members need to understand, or the public need to understand, what is currently on the table is a 3% pensionable salary increase. Coupled with that is a cash gratuity. Now, the cash gratuity was implemented last year as a result of the non-implementation or the non-payment of salary increases to public servants in the 2020. You will recall we had a 3-year agreement stemming from 2018 to 2019 and 2020. Government failed to honor the 2020 salary increase, and as a result, in 2021, as a stopgap measure, a cash gratuity in the form of a cash allowance is actually paid. Now, that cash allowance has continued throughout this year, and one of the terms of the agreement was for last year was that cash gratuity will continue until a new agreement is signed. Now, currently in the agreement that is on the table is, as I pointed out, is a 3% salary increase plus the cash gratuity. Members, Well, what members have done is that they've rejected the entire agreement in totality, simply meaning is that they might be open to the 3% salary increase, but unfortunately in the draft agreement, the cash gratuity stops at the end of 31st of March 2023. And I think why members are upset is that they will leave them worse off than what they were at the start of this year. I think the cash gratuity put some money into the pocket to help them on a day-to-day basis. Now, if you stop the cash gratuity next year, I think they will be worse off. And there's no guarantee from government at this stage or any willingness on their part to say, listen, we will continue with the cash gratuity in 2023.
So to be clear, Claud,
that is the aspect that we are haggling about at the moment. There's no indication that we're accepting the 3%, but I think it's more amenable to members because you must remember at the start of negotiations, the employer offered 0% and then upped it up to 2% and now up to 3%.
So, Claud, are you saying to me today that you would take this 3% if that cash element continued beyond early 2023? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that is, as I said to you, it's something that's in a package deal. And that is something that we have to go back to our members and say, listen, that if there's a protection clause for the cash gratuity, that is what we're angling on, is something that we'll have to take back to members, and we'll see whether there's a positive response from members. I think because members had looked at the cash gratuity aspect and said to themselves, listen, I think we're going to be worse off, and outright rejected that agreement itself. So it's something that we will have to take back. There are early signs that indicated that some members are happy, but most of the members, as I said, have rejected the draft agreement because it's not a piecemeal approach. It's a collective agreement that encompasses both the cash gratuity and the 3%. And when we mandated our members, we mandated this as a package deal, and that's why it was rejected as such.
And the teachers' unions appear to be the most willing to accept the 3%. It's SATU, NAPTOSA, and the Suid-Afrikaanse Onderwysunie that appear to be ready to accept it. So how much of a blow does that deal to the, shall we say, the cause of the workers, who then would have safety in numbers if such a significant chunk is now saying, hang on a minute, what government is proposing is not so bad after all?
Well, you must look at exactly where the membership base is. And if a cash gratuity is more conducive to the members in our association, where most of the members are in the lower ranks. So they're obviously going to see it as a fallback or a detriment to them if the cash gratuity would fall away next year. However, a 3% salary agreement, a pensionable increase might be more amenable to, say, a union like SATU, whose members are at the higher echelon of the salary bracket. So you will notice that the membership diversity in the Public Service Bargaining Council is quite diverse. In other words, different unions organize in different constituencies as far as the salary band is concerned.
Right.
As far as the PSA is concerned, our membership base ranges from right at the bottom to right at the top to director level. And when you look at who will be worse off, you might want to say to yourself, listen, yes, those at the lower rung of the salary scale might be affected. And this is one of the reasons that when we balloted our members, most of them have rejected it. The other aspect that you need to consider is that some members might be more prone to accepting a pensionable salary increase because it contributes towards the pension savings and they're more towards the retirement phase of their career. So that may be more lucrative to them as opposed to people on the lower rank or younger age, rather.
Is that difference then in basic earnings, do you think, a strength or a weakness during collective bargaining for you?
Oh, it definitely is the strength, obviously, but the way the bargaining process works is that if majority of the unions, it works on the vote weights, and the unions that you have mentioned now does not make up the majority. Yes, obviously, majority does play a key role when you are negotiating. But if you look at the unions that are, as you pointed out, are willing to accept, they don't make up the majority of unions at the Public Service Bargaining Council. You will require maybe a significant 2 or 3 other unions to make up the majority in order for an agreement to be signed.
Claud Naiker, good to speak to you.